Hi. Um, so I had a comment on one of my videos recently. And normally when I get commentary and questions, I just try to answer them directly right in the comments. But this one was kind of long. Um, so that would have been like a book to answer it. But also it had a lot of sort of, well, basically misconceptions about what having avoidant personality disorder is. And I don't really want to sort of like blast the person who posted it, because I think that even a lot of people who have the diagnosis, I mean, if you read that teeny tiny little blurb of these are the things that you have like 7 of these possible traits, and that's it, and it doesn't really explain what's happening. Um, it sort of um, I don't know. There's just a lot of misconceptions. So I'm just going to start off reading this comment and breaking down. I'm sure you hear my cat. Thanks to him. Anyway, can you talk about how chronic avoidance affects you in your regular life? Okay. Chronic avoidance. I actually don't think that I have chronic avoidance. I have avoidant personality disorder. These are different things. Unfortunately, they use this term that has a word or part of a word that is like super common. I mean, if you get something like, say, schizoid, schizoid is supposed to be like, I don't know, they keep saying they're going to collapse avoidant and schizoid together. It's kind of like collapsing love and hate. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. It has the same sort of passion. You have a person who is the object or whatever of your either affection or distaste, and it's the same level of intensity. I mean, they're the same. They're the same. Two sides of the same coin. They're the same. So let's collapse love and hate and call them one thing, just like we're going to call avoidance and schizoid one thing. But to make this equivalent sort of analogy to try to make it clear, what I'm trying to say is, so you say, okay, you have avoidant personality disorder, therefore you avoid X, Y, and Z. Not true. If you are actually avoiding things, then you have depression. Now that can really commonly be a comorbidity. I mean, you also be depressed. You might be depressed because you have avoidant personality disorder, but it is not part of having avoidant personality disorder to avoid, even though it's right there in the name. I mean, it's the same as like if you have schizoid, oh, well, then you zoid people, right? Because it's in the word. So you zoid people, and that's what having schizoid personality disorder is like, right? No. Like borderline also makes no sense whatsoever. How, what? Borderline? What is borderline? Borderline is because it was two um, different it appeared it was something different, but it appeared similar to two different mental health issues. I think it was schizophrenia and psychopathy or something like that. I mean, it was two like really out there things, and it was more like a Venn diagram. And you remember Venn diagrams? They would have like two circles of two totally different things, and there was this little sliver in the middle, and that little sliver was the common traits of those two things. Like it could be, you know, playing a saxophone and I don't know, making spaghetti or something like that. Of course, I've come up with two completely random things. You know, the thing in the middle would be that they are both objects that are manipulated by human beings or something like that. I mean, anyway, that little sliver in the middle of traits that were common to both of those mental um, disabilities or whatever you want to call them. that was the borderline. It was the border between both. It was the commonality between these two things, but it was its own separate thing. That is borderline personality disorder. Avoidant personality disorder is kind of the exact same thing. They just randomly picked a word, and then people assume that it means that you avoid. Um, so no, that's not what it is. Avoidant and how chronic avoidance affects you in your life. Okay, we're going to switch chronic avoidance to avoidant personality disorder. How it affects me in my life is it is basically this thing that I'm not even aware of, really, unless I pay attention to it. It's kind of like breathing. It exists. So how does it affect me? It affects everything, absolutely everything. When you start to look for it, I mean, it's if it is something that comes and goes, then you probably have some sort of social anxiety, which is awesome because that means it's treatable, much more treatable than avoidant personality disorder. Avoidant personality disorder, once your personality is set, it's there. It's not going anywhere. If you have social anxiety, even if it's extreme social anxiety, if it comes and goes, awesome. That means that you can treat it and you can improve it. So how does it affect me in my regular life? It just is my regular life. I don't know if that makes sense. Again, these are things that once you've been sort of living with it and you're aware of it, it's like, yeah. Um, it's really hard to explain it to someone who doesn't have it specifically, who hasn't gone through that work, because it's just like, what? Huh? Okay. The next thing, does it cause you to deliberately forego opportunities at work and forever remain trapped in a state of never-ending stasis in life with no hope of improvement whatsoever? Ooh, okay, that's lots of things there. Okay, first of all, deliberately. It might, I, I don't know. See, people who actually know people with avoidant personality disorder, I don't think that any of them think that the people are doing anything deliberately at all. But I can tell you this for sure. It is the opposite of deliberate. It is automatic. It is uncontrollable. Again, it's like breathing. No, it's not you're trying not to do this. It's just that you're incapable of it. And the thing is, um, okay, so that also is really hard for people who are just like, oh, anybody can do anything. No, no. I mean, I've said before, it's like somebody who is a paraplegic is not going to be able to climb Mount Everest. They're just not going to be able to. Somebody with avoidant personality disorder is not going to be doing a lot of things that other people just think are normal, or other people think that it's giving them a little bit of anxiety because they can't. And it's not really just a belief system. It's not that you just don't believe in yourself. It's that it's impossible. I mean, I don't know. It is hard to explain. But to go on, that you're okay, specifically opportunities at work. Actually, that specifically is so much of a hallmark of avoidant personality disorder that it used to be one of the diagnostic criteria was underemployment, and that literally meant somebody that could not take opportunities and make improvements at work. They just absolutely could not, or actually like didn't work at all, or only worked part time when they probably should have been able to work full time or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's not there now. Um, so you can't be diagnosed with avoidant personality disorder because you have work issues. Um, but again, deliberately foregoing them, no, it's not deliberate. I mean, if you are deciding that you are trying to avoid work and you don't want to work, I'm not exactly sure what that is, if that is straight up depression or if it is some sort of psychopathy or something, I don't know, but that's not avoidant personality disorder. People with avoidant personality disorder do want to do these things. This is the problem. This is what causes such an issue. I mean, and that is the big difference between schizoid and avoidant personality disorder, is that schizoids are like, yeah, no, I just don't want to deal. And no, I don't want it. It's not working for me and I don't want it. And I'm very happy not having it. Cool. People with avoidant personality disorder definitely want these things in their life and are just not eligible. I know that sounds so weird, but that really is how it is. You you know, you feel that way and it is that way. You're just not eligible to do these things. You know, you might be really gifted at doing something, but it doesn't matter. For example, I write all these books, most of which have never been published and won't be published. Yeah, they're not going to be published probably until posthumously, if that. They're just not, you know, and it's not, I mean, I've been published, I know how to do it, but the type of stress and the resilience that you need, it's not happening. It's not happening, and I am totally fine with that. I'm like, cool. I mean, I got what out of writing them what I needed to get out of them. Um, you know, and the worst thing I can do is get attention for them. This is God's honest truth. I mean, I twice in my life have had major success in a genre of writing, and basically because I got successful and was getting attention for it, quit immediately and left and stopped writing that and wrote something different twice. You know, people don't get these type of opportunities. A lot of people don't do it unless they self-publish. They don't get the opportunities even once. I had twice. I walked away from it. And that is not like I sat there and went, okay, I have a 5-year plan and I'm going to do this for 5 years and then I'm going to deliberately stop doing it and do something else. That's not how it works. It's that, and it's not even self destruction, it is extreme lack of self confidence. Like one of the things I was really, um, I was getting successful at it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, like I don't have the credentials for this. There are people who have never had any schooling whatsoever, taught themselves how to read, wrote books, and they were successful. Isn't that cool? I was like, this is it. It broke my brain. I was like, no, I haven't studied this enough. I haven't been. I'm not authorized to do it. I'm going to. Okay, I literally was like, all right, I'm going to pause this now. Ended up being a full stop. I'm going to pause this now and go to graduate school and really learn how to do it. And then I'll come back, which I did. And then I wrote other things. And for the most part, like 85, 90% of what I have written, I haven't published, and I absolutely could publish it. I had two theories, because when you do go to graduate school, you have to have you need theories, you know, hypothesis, theses, things that have not been proven, that you basically delve into, do your analysis, put it out there, and let other people take a look at it and agree or disagree. And that's how it's vetted. I had two of them that I didn't take any further because who am I? I don't have the authority to do that. Doesn't matter. I mean, I do. I have the degrees. Technically, I do. Doesn't matter. The avoidance stops it. Now, that is classic underemployment, technically. I don't know. Remained trapped in a state of never-ending stasis in life with no hope of improving whatsoever. Okay. you know what? This is going to sound so insanely braggy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I mean, I had somebody this week who was like, I can't believe you do this. I thought they were taking a piss, not even lying. I was like, oh God, they're making fun of me. And they were just like in awe of some of the things that I do on a very regular basis. Like the travel, the experiences I do. They're just like, I can't believe you do that. The you've seen well, I'm assuming you see the shorts I put out on this channel. The reason I put them out is um twofold. The reason I do the stuff, the hobbies in the first place is um I'm trying to avoid getting dementia. Both my grandmother and my father died of dementia, and it's most likely coming to get me because my mother's side all had breast cancer. I didn't get that, and haven't had any cancer really. Um, so I didn't get that. I didn't get the heart issues she had. She had congestive heart failure, and my grandfather on my mother's side also died of heart failure. Didn't get that, so I'm probably going to get the dementia. So, um, doing what I can do to try to push that off um, includes doing these silly little hobbies. So if I do them every day and I put a video up every day, um, what that's doing is making me be consistent. And that's not the only things that I do, but again, consistently working on it every day. And the other thing it does is makes me more willing to do these longer videos. Because the thing is that I do get really, really shy about being anywhere near camera. The shorts, I'm not on camera. I prefer not to be on camera. I prefer not to be speaking. I really would. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous. You're like, yeah, what do you got? Like 1,300 videos out there right now? Yeah, you don't like talking. I don't believe that. Don't like talking about myself. Do like educating people. Do like being a source for people to, even though it's not really well, I mean, I think I've got fairly decent um, video labels, but I mean, as far as trying to make it easily accessible, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, titles are pretty good. So yeah, what was I telling you? Oh, I was bragging, basically. But one of the projects I'm doing in the shorts specifically, I mean, I think they're kind of like ridiculous, even though I do them. Again, really, as therapy, they're really good. Um, and I really assume, see, again, this is the mother thing. Everything I did, I'm like, I would do these things. She would tell me they were absolutely a waste of time and I should have been doing a million other things besides what I was doing. And then I would have them juried and I would win because, basically I was a perfectionist. So, I mean, if you're going to do some silly little thing and you're going to be a perfectionist about it, if they're perfect, you win. That's it. Okay. So I would win, and all that she had been literally berating me about. She would take them and keep them and like display them in things. I'm like, what? I mean, I don't. I do. I'm the one that does it, and I don't display them, but she would. But she would berate me the entire time for wasting my time. So I'm sort of expecting this to happen. So one of the projects I'm working on now, um, I'm getting words. I'm getting people describe it as like, oh my god, that's impressive and that's cool and that's really. I'm like, what? What? You're taking the piss, right? What? You can't be serious. You can't. I mean, I just can't acknowledge that anybody out there would actually be thinking positively about anything that I do, because that is the training I received. That is my default. Okay? So, but however, no hope of improvement whatsoever for somebody who has avoidant personality disorder. That is like the biggest misconception. Because the thing is this, and I've been over this, I'm sorry it's so repetitive, but the thing is this: when you are trying to follow the rules, when you are trying to do what society tells you, when you are trying to do all that crap, yes, you're going to be absolutely super miserable. If you're trying to just be, because that's the thing, is that you're told that you're broken, that you're uniquely wrong in the way that you're living your life, because that is, I don't know why it's so good, telling you that you're just not right, therefore you don't belong in the world, is usually something that somebody with avoidant personality disorder has heard from the people who abuse them into having avoidant personality disorder, because you're never born with it. It needs a trigger. Somebody needs to abuse you into having it. And that's what they do. They just say you're uniquely broken, and you believe that because that's what you've only ever heard. Because that's the other thing they do, is they isolate you so that you only hear the abuse and you don't hear any, other opinion from anybody else who could possibly be telling you what would be the actual truth, or an alternative truth, alternative to the crap that you've been hearing from your abuser. So you really, this is the way of the world, and you can't conceptualize of anything else. But here's the thing: most people with avoidant personality disorder just, you don't get over it, you don't improve, but you basically cope with it better, because eventually you're going to stop trying to live up to everybody else's expectations, because that's impossible. Maybe they're going to do what happened to me. Maybe they're all going to die on you, and then you don't ever have to deal with their crap again, which is like the most horrible thing in the world to say. But guess what? And, I had a huge, massive bump in the improvement in my life when my parents died and my son graduated high school, and I didn't have to deal with his teachers and therapists and doctors anymore. Basically, everybody who was really, truly driving me insane got out of my life. And then I also stopped trying to have a job that was like the normal 9 to 5 job. Um, I have an alternative job. I work weird hours. I work a lot of hours. I work a lot. But I mean, I'm also making these videos here, which other people get paid for it, and it's considered like their full-time job. Um, yeah. So because I was able to break from the expectations of the world, and I was able to break from the people who were abusing me, and it just gave me this huge amount of space for me to go, okay, well, then what do I actually want in my life? And you know what? Doing the things that I want to do instead of the things I'm supposed to do changed everything. And I am able to do these things that I would want to do versus what the expectations are so much easier and better and more than I was able to cope with trying to follow rules. Um, so like right now, I think I'm in a pretty decent place. I'm expecting a bomb to drop. I'm like, okay, what will it be? I know my car is going to blow up or something. I mean, that just happened last year. Last year when I got hit by a snowplow, that was beautiful. Please don't ever do that. Um, that sucked. I mean, that could happen this year. Not a snowplow. It's past snow time. Um, It could be something like that. There's always something mad, crazy coming along, upending the equilibrium. But I described it as a pendulum that you're going to swing back and forth, and things will get really bad, and then they'll get better, and they'll get worse, and they'll get better. And you can be stuck in that sort of that limbo. What did you call it? Uh, Never-ending stasis in life with no hope of improvement. Um, that's if you're in that pendulum and you just let it swing back and forth and control you. If you learn how to move that fulcrum over a little bit toward the betterment, and also stop that swing, that extreme, like get it a little bit less swingy, a little bit more in the middle, a little bit more stable. Yeah, you can have life that's pretty decent. You'll always mourn having the ideal perfect life. You will. But you know what? If you had the ideal perfect life, then these cool things that you're doing, you wouldn't be able to do. You wouldn't have time to do it. So it is kind of a matter of letting go of the fantasy that you're going to be able to be 100% perfect according to the ideal of whoever was trying to drill it into your head, and then instead do what you want to do and understand that it's okay to let that other person's opinions, you know, fade away. It's okay that you don't live up to their expectations, and it's okay for you to do what you want to do. And it takes decades to get to that point that you have to basically accept where you are and then slowly mold your life in the direction you want to go to. Okay, I'm only like halfway through this little message. Yeah, I guess I can yap, huh? Um, Here we go. You inevitably become the frog that ends up boiling itself due to its total inability to escape its situation caused by lifelong maladaptive conditioning behaviors. Okay, again, let's break this down. First of all, do I think that the frog boiled itself? No. I mean, I totally get that image. I mean, but somebody put that frog into that pot, and you got to, I mean, there's no frog that's going to jump into a pot on its own and just sit there in the heat. A frog was put into a pot, and the fear of getting out of the pot is keeping it in place. Um, so forcing a victim to take responsibility for their abuse, I really feel that's very, very icky. I got to say that right off the bat. Um, Due to its total inability to escape its situation. Again, the extremeness of this message, the total inability to escape its situation. Guess what? That might be true. That might be true. We have avoidant personality disorder. We are not eligible for certain normal, average life experiences. That does not mean that you're not eligible for tons more life experiences. And yes, you can spend your entire whole life with your nose up against the window, staring at these things that you can't do. Or you can look around, see what else there is. You can look around and decide, oh, you know what? This box of a room that I'm in is just stark white and I don't like it, and I'm going to get some paint and I'm going to paint the wall. And I'll still be in the room, but it'll be a better room. I know these are lame metaphors, but seriously, um, the total inability to escape. There are multiple definitions of the word escape. Total inability to live up to somebody else's expectations. Guess what? I don't know a human being on the planet ever who 100% lived up to the expectations that were handed out to them. But for them, it's not a crisis like it is for people with avoidant personality disorder who are not allowed to not obey and are not allowed to not perform in the way that they have been dictated by whoever their abuser was. Life, everybody can pivot. And that's the thing. You're still going to mourn that you really wish that your plan A had worked. Plan A was so cool, but plan B and plan C might also be pretty cool. I seriously never expected to have a kid. I never wanted a kid. I mean, first of all, I thought that I would have to be a parent the way I was parented. Um, I thought I would hate my child. Um, Having a kid was incredibly difficult for me. I had a tough kid who has autism with a lot of baggage. And it was so cool. I would have had 6 if I'd had a chance, but I didn't. So you never know. You never know what you think about somebody or yourself or your life or your job or whatever. What you think might be true, but it's rare. It's rare that what your expectations are exactly meet what the experience is. It's very rare. So don't get hung up on your plans being derailed and you having to come up with, you get to come up with something that is not exactly what your abusers told you to do, you know. But also there are things that you're going to want to do that you are going to work toward that are just not going to be able to do them. Okay. Well, guess what? There's other things. There's other things. Okay. Lifelong maladaptive conditioning behaviors. Those are 2 different things. Conditioning and maladaptive. Um, Conditioning is forced on you. You've been trained to do things a certain way. Maladaptive is ways that you have come up with to cope with whatever's being forced on you. And again, they can be these huge, massive hurdles, these giant pillars right in front of you. They take up 85% of your sight is these things that you can't do and how you have to deal with people. Guess what? No. You know what? You don't have to deal with the people in the way that's stressing you out so bad. If whatever you're doing is driving you nuts, you really can turn around, walk the other direction, come up with a different way of going at it. Go at it sideways, go at it from the top, the bottom, go at it from online, go at it without looking at them. Go at it blind without seeing whatever they are doing. There are other ways. There are other ways. Like, if going grocery shopping is getting unbelievably stressed out for you because you keep saying the same purple, go to a different grocery store. Unless you live in the middle of the outback in Australia or something, there are other grocery stores. Go to a different grocery store. Start over. Actually, it was Augustine Burroughs' book, which was something like How Not to Die. It was the advice. I was like, this is brilliant. It is literally please don't kill yourself. This is what you can do if you don't want to go and have therapy. Do this. And it was like, I was like, it was like, what? People can do that? Yes, people can do that. It was his thing was, if really truly everything sucks so bad and you just have it in your gut that if you lived in another place, if you lived in another city, that things would be different, even though, yeah, maybe it's wrong. Do you know how many people, specifically Paris, how many people I know who moved to Paris, which I've been to Paris. Paris is tough as far as I'm concerned. No, that would not work for me. But specifically Paris, we were like, my life opened up because I just moved there. I became an au pair. I started teaching English. I did touristy crap. I hustled. I got the tiniest little, barely a closet-sized room as an apartment, and my life is so much better because of Paris. I'm like, oh my God. But you know what? Maybe it's not Paris, maybe it's somewhere else. I know a lot of people who moved to Orlando. Again, you know what? I've been to Florida. I've visited Florida. I can take it for about a day and a half. There's no, oh my God, I can't imagine anything worse than living in specifically Orlando. The tourist hell that's there, and the traffic, and ugh, you know, it's one thing if you're at a resort, which is beautiful and gorgeous, but everything that's not a beautiful, gorgeous resort is ugh. But I would say number two from Paris is Orlando. People just like, okay, my life is crap. I'm just going to move there. And I mean, what Augustin Burroughs came up with was he's like, okay, if you're going to die anyway, don't worry about packing your apartment. Just leave it. Leave everything. Because if you're going to die, you're not going to pack it up before you die. Somebody's going to have to pack it up after you anyway and throw everything out. So just leave. Leave it all. Who cares? Leave. Just leave. Go. Go to another place. Don't worry about your responsibilities if that's what's stressing you out so bad. Just go. You know what? People with avoidant personality disorder can do that. You can decide that the burden of all these expectations that you've had, they just don't apply to you anymore. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. You have like I said, I consider it similar to a disability. Other people probably think that's really annoying and disrespectful. Whatever, however you look at it. I mean, it's a mental disability. It's a mental disorder. I mean, whatever. So you have to do things a little different. Do it different. I mean, for instance, I mean, it's all not always negative. I mean, this is the other thing. It's not always negative. Yeah, it's not always negative. Um, when I got my master's degree, nobody believed in me. I mean, I had my teachers. My teachers were actually mad at me. They're like, "We thought you were getting a PhD. What the heck is this? And what are you doing getting creative writing degree? What the hell? You're supposed to what? You should get a PhD. Come on." And they were disappointed for that. Um, my mother just wanted me to be a waitress. She was really mad that I was going to be uppity and do something further than what she um, ever aspired to in her life. I should basically try to recreate her life because her life is perfect, right? And I should be a waitress. Um, I never knew my mother as a waitress, but I guess that's where she started. And so that's what she wanted me to do. Basically, nobody had any faith whatsoever. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It was not what was to be expected. If you had an English degree, you should have become an English teacher and been to high school. That would have been the normal. The normal career path would have been to become a high school English teacher. I did not do that. And then I got my master's degree. I did not teach in a university either. I actually started teaching in high schools. It just, but that's not negative. I mean, especially the degree stuff is not negative. That's it was kind of avoiding. It was avoiding real world. It was avoiding life. I'd rather get a student loan than and read really interesting books and think than get a job. My father used to be so mad at me because I didn't have a job that like killed my soul and was physically exhausting because he thought that's what a job was. What the hell is wrong with me that I am not dead at the end of a shift. That's not work. He thought it was ridiculous. I should have been doing something like, I don't know specifically, it's more physical, but definitely more mentally taxing than what I did. It was supposed to be work after all. That's why it was called work. Oh, he was so mad. They were all so mad. Um, I just did things different. And that is okay. Once you break from the expectations of all the things that are in this note, these assumptions about you, um, which again, I'm not dragging the person who wrote this. Really, I'm not. It's a different perspective. It's somebody who is trying to understand avoidant personality disorder and is basically look up the dictionary saying, what does it mean to avoid something? Which is how you figure things out, right? But this is not. This is, like something like carpal tunnel syndrome has nothing to do with a tunnel that you drive through. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's different. It's a terminology that's using a word that seems pretty common, but it doesn't mean that. And I don't know. I don't know if this was any point whatsoever in making this video. But then again, I never think there's any point in any of my videos. Hopefully it was helpful in some way, that it somehow cracked open some understanding of what it's like to have this condition, because it's really hard to understand it. Really hard. Anyway, I'll talk to you next week. Bye.